All right, all right, all right. You already know who it is. Father Moo on the microphone. Whew, we just had some real technical difficulties. I had to reboot and install twice. But we finally rolling here. We got the hardware rocking. And yeah, without further ado, let's dive into something new. I'm just going to drop it at the beginning like I try to do. I'm going to say what I want to do. And then without putting in too many modules, I'm going to build it a voice at a time. Probably 3 input mixer today. Okay, here's my plan. I want to make a voice. And once I do, in fact, it might be a complex voice just because the last complex voices patch did well. Once I get that voice up and running, I'm going to send it 2 different sequences. One, a repeating melodic sequence, and one, a random melodic sequence. But I'm also going to try and set them to 2 different clocks. One will be a triplet clock, and one will be a straight clock. That's the part I don't know if I can actually get working, but I'm going to try. And if and when I get that running on a voice, I'm then going to move on to a simple drum pattern and try to do the same thing so that when the voice flips over from the straight pattern to the triplet pattern, the drums also switch to the same clocked speed. And they will be, if all goes smoothly, they will be following a sequence, a repeating sequence in the melody, like the voice. When we go to triplets, they'll be somewhat more random, but they'll still all be following the clock. And how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to have a little square wave LFO as our switch from left to right, from 0 to 1, and he'll be the boss of everything. He'll be telling everybody when to flip. So that's the plan. So as you can see here, we got one voice with a filter set up. Here's our clock for today. Since I know I'm going to need it, I'm going to make the clock divider for today. Not the fixed one, but the variable one. I don't know exactly how it's going to be set yet, but it's definitely going to have something. So we're going to need, as I said, normal voice. There's an OSC, there's a filter, there's an envelope. Well, we're going to make it an interesting voice, so let's at least give him a mixer to get started with before he goes into the filter. I don't know what the other parts of that voice are going to be. Let's just get a melody running before we tweak in the other parts of it. Here's a note sequencer B, and yeah, I think we can use this output as his gate out. Oh, hold on a second. So if we are truly going to be able to send 2 different clocks to this envelope, then we're going to need a logic processor, very simple one, set to OR. So I can set one clock to here and the other one to there, and it'll let either one through. Now, hopefully I'll only be sending one at a time, so I won't have to get confused, but there's the first one anyway. And we'll set up a random pattern here, and then go to key quantizer here. Many people see me do this. I guess when I hit that random button, it looks like I don't care about what the melody is. I do, I care. I like aleatory composition, which is random or semi-random composition, and that's what we're doing here. I like inserting that random element in things, and if I don't like the notes that come out, I will adjust them to be different notes. So I think we got it here. If we hook up the clock, let's give the clock a much slower tempo. Hook up the clock to here. There's the notes. You can see I quantize them to the major pentatonic scale here. Actually, I guess it could be minor pentatonic depending on how you look at it. It doesn't really matter. He's doing a sine wave now. Let's give him some of the old square and hit him with a little bit of pulse width modulation. Slow it down a bit and open up the filter so we can hear it. Okay, sounding good. Let's just re-randomize here. Cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's where I'm hearing it anyway. Okay, so we got the voice up and running. Let's, as promised, let's make him more interesting. We got a square wave in the top of the octave here. Let's give him, let's try this. I don't know if it'll be good or not, but let's try it. It's the old formant oscillator. And I'm going to drop him down an octave. And I'm going to send him the same pitches. I just realized I'm going to need a switch heading into these pitch inputs, but I can worry about that a little later. Let's try connecting this and just see what we get. Yeah. So formant oscillator doesn't really like a smooth, quick changing LFO in his timbre input. What he likes is a clocked random step generator. So let's give him one of those. Why? It's just due to the nature of how he changes timbre. That's not the focus of today's episode, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. Maybe another time. Can't really hear it. Let's try muting this guy. I'm not really hearing it. What am I doing wrong here? What if we do an unclocked random step generator and let's see what we get? Okay, that's without it. That's interesting. Okay, now I can hear it changing. We may not be able to hear it because the filter is cutting out too much of the high frequencies. Yeah, that's probably why. Oops, that's not what we want. Let's try this. Okay, I see what we did wrong here. So we tuned him down an octave and then we tried to adjust the timbre, but the timbre adjusts the top of the frequency, not the bottom. So he's kind of tuned too low for us to hear it. Maybe if we went all the way up to E5. And we'll put him back to clocked. Okay, I'm liking it. Let's make sure we can hear him. And this guy is now an octave below. I'm down with it. I'm digging it. I'm loving it. Let's dial in our third oscillator. It's going to be good old noise generator. It's going to be too loud here. Let's adjust this. Okay. We got a pretty highly pitched thing here. I thought noise was going to be our third sound. Why don't we give him... Is this the right one? Yeah. Oh, no. What I mean is... this. Why don't we tune him to this and then drop him at least one octave down and see what we get. Nice. That's cool, right? Yeah, I think so. Could even try 2 octaves, but... Oops. That's certainly an interesting sound. Let's route this to the filter as well. So we got a nice, brilliant, brittle metal sound up there in the top. We still got some beef at the bottom with the sine wave. So adjust the levels a little here. So the metal isn't so bright. It's a nice balance, isn't it? I think so. Okay, good. We got our main pattern going, so let's start working on the switch. I'm just gonna put him over here so he takes pride of place. Not him. I need an LFO which does a square wave. That's a complex one. I just want a simple one. He's always going to be a square wave. There he is. So that's the big switcher. He tells us to do X or to do Y. So as I said, I'm going to have to set him up for the pitch stuff over here. We're going to need that switch now. So, I've forgotten again which one this is. Is it pan or is it crossfade with modulator? Sorry, bear with me while I find the right thing. 2 in to 1 out? No. I think this is it. So I think we pan all the way to one side, so it's on channel 1. We make sure the crossfader is everything or nothing, so at max. We wire the output of the LFO into the crossfader. I don't care the fact that it's looking for a red input. Then we send our 2 control signals, our 2 melodies, into 1 and 2, and it will always decide between one or the other. So we know that melody number 1 is right here, feeding into the first oscillator. Let's feed him into there. Yeah, it becomes temporarily boring. Hold on, just bear with me. And then we'll feed this back into 1 and into 2, and 3 is already slaved to 1, so it doesn't matter. Okay, great. So just to be clear, I'm going to turn it down a little bit here. Since we haven't set up the random melody on the other channel with the different clock, when the switch switches to the left, it will give us our sequence that we've heard. And when it switches to the right, it'll just go dun 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 on the same note until we give it a second note. That's okay. That means everything's working right. The other key is that we have to remember to give 2 different clocks to the envelope. So I put this logic processor in here, but I don't think that's going to work. I think what we should do is just do this again. We should make another switch which has the same kind of feed going to it, except one of the gates, let's just delete the logic processor. Instead of the oops. instead of the every step gate coming out of here and going into there, which you can listen to, right? He's playing on the 1 clock. Let's send him to channel 1. Just like we know we have our melody here on channel 1. And then number 2, when he switches to number 2, we have our clock number 2. And I think we can make that right now. So instead of dividing the clock by 2, I'm going to divide it by 3. And I'm going to send the 4 pulses per beat that we're getting out of our clock generator into the clock in, and then send my output over here to here. So you should hear now when the switch switches, if it's on the left, you should hear our normal clock with our normal melody. And when it goes to the right, we should hear our new clock with no melody, with just a 1 note repeated. I'm going to put these switches somewhere else, but it's just here right now so we can see them. And then I feed the output of that switch into the gate in. I can see the lights lighting up, so something good might be happening. Let's listen. Wow, it's actually working. That's, okay, right channel, left channel, right channel, right? Okay, good. So let's set up the random melody for the right channel. So I'm going to take a clocked random step generator, but I'm not going to feed him the 4 on the 4 clock. I'm going to feed him the divided clock. And then I give him another one of these key quantizers, although I'm going to change the notes slightly. Where is that? Key quantizer. Take him down to 32 just like the other one. And send him some notes. Slightly different from the other pattern. And send this into here. And it should work. Isn't that cool? It's working. Wow. I'm just going to make the switch between them a little slower so we can hear one and then hear the other. There's our channel 2. So cool. That's awesome. Okay, I know how to do this now. So we got 50% of our processing power left. Let's do the drums as well. I've left the switch over here on the right because that's just that mechanism. We can keep it there. So let's make 2 drums. Again, I'm going to keep this sonically rather simple just to demonstrate what I'm trying to demonstrate here today. Yeah. Okay, now I got to figure out how to switch between these 2. Okay, I think I know how to do it. Okay, so set him to a kick and set him to a snare. They may not be the best ones, but they'll do for now. And plug them into our mixer so we will be able to hear them. So first of all, I'm going to take a event sequencer, which plays a kind of repeated pattern. I have to find out where the 1 is. Hold on a sec. It's on the 7. So probably here. I'm just guessing. I'll get it right, don't worry. So set this clock to this clock and set the reset to the reset. So the drum and the sequencer will always be in time. I think I need 2 more switches now. The switch we're using is crossfade with modulator. I need one of each of them for the kick and the snare. So the sequencer out will be channel 1 of the kick, and the sequencer out 2 will be channel 1 for the snare, i.e. locked to the sequencer. And for their other channels, I'm going to make them just random. So I'm going to make clocked pattern generators. And just set them to something other than the default. Keeps turning red on me. There we go. Okay, so we clock this sequencer to this sequencer, and the pattern generators are going to clock to the divided clock, which, as I recall, is here. They don't have a reset, but it doesn't matter. And so the first one will be the kick. There's channel 2 of our switch. And the second will be the snare, which is channel 1 of our switch. And then the outputs again get wired back to the triggers of the drums. There's a kick. There's our snare. It's amazing. Yep. Still in time. Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. I didn't wire in the crossfader for those things, and the drums are getting all mixed up. Here, let's try this. There we go. See, the drums are now hitting at the same times. Boom, boom, pop. That's good. Let's adjust our drum sounds. That's really cool. I'm at a loss for how to arrange this visually. I guess it doesn't matter too much. But it's really, really working. I'm just going to dial it down for a second. So just to make sure we know what we're hearing here. We got the sequence repeating and playing 16 steps. And we've got a boom, boom, clap, boom, boom, clap is the pattern that the kick and the snare play when the sequencer plays. When it switches to triplet time, we hear random notes, and you'll still hear kick and snare hits. I can't be sure when it's going to hit. It's going to hit on time with a note, or it's going to play nothing on a note. That's just the way the clock was divided. Because they're using, clocked pattern generators, clocked random pattern generators, whatever. They just hit or they don't hit. But if they do hit, they'll hit on the beat. Let's just listen one more time. Cool. I'm almost inclined to, I don't want to ruin my pattern here, but I think if I change the snare to a cymbal, it might even be easier to hear what's going on. Right? See what I mean? Yeah. Since this is supposed to be a demonstration, I think that actually demonstrates it slightly better. Is there a better cymbal than 2? Now it's too quiet. Five works better on triplets, but not as well on the... Yeah. I think I'll leave it there. Yeah. Okay, so... again, we're doing something here today that... If you were running a DAW, it would probably be quite simple to set up 2 tempos and 2 patterns and have everything locked to them. When we do it in Modular, these switches can help, especially, you just got to remember, the key here is this long strip of blue cables, which are all wired into the same guy, Dr. Squarewave over here, so that he's the decider of which pattern we're on. Actually, we can see, light off means the sequence, light on will mean the triplets. There we go. Light on. And the light is off and it's back again. So yeah, that's it for today. I've run down my battery, especially with my rebooting. I just want to say thanks one more time. I didn't stream for like 10 days, but when I came back and did, the response is really good. I think we had 150 views in 2 days. I know that's not exactly PewDiePie numbers, but for me it's pretty good, and I'm cool with that. I'd rather have the right people listening than have everybody listening. I guess I'm going to call this 2 tempos. A little straightforward, but it tells you what it is. And yeah, I'm glad I I'm glad I just stuck with it until I got the tech issues worked out, because I was freaked out there that I wasn't going to be able to stream, and that would suck. So anyway, everything's working again. Knock on wood. It's been brilliant. Thank you all for coming to church on a lovely Sunday like this. I hope you have time to enjoy the football game. And we'll see you all next time on the stream. Father Moo out.